you doing? This is TV and school. Вивчаємо з тобою ми англійську. How are you? Що скажеш, коли ти зустрінеш якогось іноземця? So, let's speak English. Англійська мова Шекспіра та нью-йоркських таксистів. Англійська стане у нагоді вам, бойські дівчиська.
Hello everybody, my name is Anna, I am an English teacher. Всім привіт, мене звати Анна, я вчитель англійської мови. Today we're going to continue learning about youth lifestyles. So, teenagers have different lifestyles, but first of all, which associations do you have with teenagers and teenage lifestyles and teenagers' life? So, my associations are the following. Let's take a look on the board. Дивимось на дошку. So, the first association that I have with teenagers, that's going out. Why? Because usually teenagers go out a lot, they communicate with their friends and go to different places, parks, festivals, and so on. The next one, festivals, right? So definitely the next association would be music. There are different types of music, there are different styles of music that teenagers listen to. The next one, usually when you're a teenager and you're like 15, 16 years old, you usually start some romantic relationships. So teenagers get their boyfriends and girlfriends. So a boyfriend or a girlfriend, another association with teenagers. The next one, usually teenagers do not really get along with their parents, so they misbehave. That's why my association is behavior. They may have some behavior issues, for example, or they may behave quite well. Another one, teenagers usually get very emotional, so they express their emotions in different ways. So another association, definitely, emotions. What would be the next one? Well, to me, that's parties. So teenagers go to the parties, they organize them, or they go to their friends' parties. So the next association, okay, so when it is a party, you usually go to your friend's house and you have fun there, and then you ask your parents, you call your parents and ask them whether they would let you have a night out with your friends. So you would have a pajama party, for example, so you stay at your friend's house for a night out. Or it is also called a sleepover. So sleepover, when you stay with your friend for a pajama party, for example, so you're spending the night together and you're having fun, watching movies, eating popcorn, playing board games. Okay, what else? Which other associations may we have with teenagers? Well, probably the easiest ones that we will leave to the end, these are school and college. So school, because teenagers usually go to school, and college, some of them actually go to college after they finish grade 9, for example. Okay, so these are the main associations with teenagers that I personally have. What about you? Do you have the same associations? Give it a think. Okay, and another question. What images spring to mind when you hear about the teenagers? So, what are your associations? Mine are here. What are yours? You can write down a list of 7 up to 10 associations that you have with teenagers. All right, now let's get back to the topic of our previous lesson. Let's revise the vocabulary that we had last time. So, our task now is to name the following styles. On the screen, on the board, you can see the pictures, and our task is to, we need to try to remember how we call these styles. So in the first picture, we can see Bella Hadid wearing a very simple dress. So let's recall how we call this very style. Okay, right, that's normcore. Another picture that we have here, you can see a girl wearing a jeans jacket and a dress with some flowers and a hat. And this girl looks kind of rock, like a rock star a little bit. So this style is called soft grunge. Another picture. Here we can see a girl wearing a headband and she's got some lip mask that she's probably bought on some website or maybe in a store. And she's got some journal. And actually, this girl would represent the style of haul girls or basically haul boys. There are also such bloggers that make such videos. So do you remember what haul videos are? Haul videos are the videos of unpacking what you've bought. So they go shopping, they buy some interesting things, they buy clothes, they buy cosmetics, and then they show off on the video and they post that on YouTube. So haul girls, they do like that. Okay, and the last one here, we can see the girls. Probably they are Korean, and there is a very popular style of pop music in Korea. It's actually quite easy to name it, so that's K-pop, Korean popular music. The fans of K-pop are called K-poppers. All right, let's get to the next part. Now we have to match the names of styles with their definitions. Зараз нам необхідно з'єднати назви стилів з їхніми визначеннями. So, first of all, let's take a look at the left column. Давайте подивимось спочатку на колонку ліворуч, на слова, які нам необхідно з'єднати з definitions, з визначеннями. So, number 1, K-pop. 2, haul girls or haul boys. 3, soft grunge. 4, C-punk. 5, Tumblr Girls. 6, normcore. 7, memecore. 8, yucky. Okay, I do hope that you remember these words from our previous lesson. Now let's match them with the explanations, with their definitions. So the first word that we have here is K-pop. So, and here, which definition do you think would match to this word? Okay, good. That's C. Korean pop music, the singers are called the idols. Okay, look through the definitions once again. Which one matches the words haul girls or haul boys? Give it a think. Okay, right. That's H. Young people who buy things in shops and make YouTube video telling everyone what they just bought. The next word that we have here, soft grunge. We've just had this word in the picture, just like two previous ones, so it shouldn't be difficult to match it with the definition. So what is soft grunge? Okay, that's right. These are teenagers who like dip-dyed hair, listen to grunge music, and like wearing stylish Nirvana t-shirts, usually. Okay, the fourth one, sea-punk. So if we're talking about sea-punk, that's definitely something that is connected with the sea, with the ocean. And actually, this is a style of clothes, this is a style of wear that consists of marine prints. What is marine? That's sea. Okay, number 5, Tumblr Girls. These are the girls who use Tumblr. That's a special app with pictures, and you can share the photos of your lifestyle. So actually, Tumblr Girls are the girls who wear crop tops and high-waisted shorts. They love Starbucks and they love taking pictures. The next one, normcore. We have just seen a picture of Bella Hadid in a simple dress, so it shouldn't be difficult to match this word to the definition. Which definition should we use here? What is normcore? That's something connected with being normal, of course, right? So the definition that we match here would be D. The act of deconstructing fashion, or like destroying fashion, by purposely dressing blank or dull anti-fashion dresses. Okay, the next one, the last but one, number 7. meme core. So you remember what a meme is? That's a picture that is recognized by many people. So what would be meme core? Probably that's using these pictures in your clothes, in what you wear. So yeah, that's right. Definition F. The style which uses recognizable images in clothes. That's meme core. And number 8, the last one here, that's yucky. Do you remember young creative individuals that we were talking about in our previous lesson? Okay, and we have just one definition left, so it's quite easy. A yucky is a young person, a young, fashionable, upper middle class person. So yucky is kind of a new hippie. All right, now that you remember the words, let's get to another task. Now we're going to read the article, and you can see its title on the screen. Today's teenagers growing up more slowly. Сьогоднішні тінейджери, підлітки, виростають повільніше. So that's the article we are going to read now. Think about these words. Think about the title. What might we read about it? But before that, take a look at the words below. You have to think about them. And what do you think? What will the article say about these words? What can you say about these words in your life? And the words that you need to think of are the following: teenagers, growing up, behavior, surveys, responsibilities, taking risks, grandparents, first date, part-time job, apartment, social media, the real world. So how are these words connected with the article title? What do you think might be stated about these words? Let's take a look at some of them. Responsibilities. Probably the article will tell us what is expected from the teenagers that they have to do in their studies, at home, and so on and so forth. Behavior. We have already mentioned in the beginning of the lesson that teenagers might have some behavior issues, problems. So probably this article will tell us about them as well. What about part-time job? When you're a teenager and starting from age 14, you actually can start working. When you're 16, you can work even more. So probably that theme is also going to be discussed in the topic. Social media. Every teenager is using social media nowadays. So probably the impact, the influence of social media on teenagers is going to be discussed in the article. And the real world. Don't forget to connect with the real world. Don't lose the connection with the real world when you are a teenager. Probably that might be a message of this article. So now, as we have predicted what we might see and what we might read in the article, let's actually read it. Article: Today's teenagers growing up more slowly. A new study says today's teenagers are growing up more slowly than previous generations. Research from San Diego State University looked at data on teenage behavior from the past 40 years, between 1976 and 2016. It looked at surveys on 8 million teens from 7 different countries. Researchers said that compared to teenagers from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, today's teens are taking longer to engage in both the pleasures and the responsibilities of adulthood. Professor Jean Twenge said, "The whole developmental pathway has slowed down." She said today's 18-year-olds are living more like 15-year-olds used to live. She said teenagers are taking far fewer risks than they did before. The researchers said today's teenagers are taking longer to do things their parents and grandparents did. They are older when they go on their first date, less likely to have a part-time job, and are less likely to drive. Professor Twenge said this is a slow life strategy. Researchers also found that more teenagers are spending longer living with their parents instead of renting their own room or apartment. One of the reasons for these behaviors is how much time teenagers spend online. The internet is keeping teens on social media, looking at videos, or playing games instead of living in the real world. Another reason was parents who try and do too much for their children and protect them too much. So, now that we have read the text, we understand that teenagers today are growing up more slowly than they used to in the previous years. Now, let's check your understanding of the text. Давайте зараз перевіримо, наскільки добре ви зрозуміли інформацію з тексту. We are going to do a true or false exercise. Take a look at the board. Take a look at the screen. Давайте подивимось на екран. Отже, нам необхідно зробити вправу, в якій нам необхідно визначити, які речення є правдивими, true, і які є неправдивими, false, відповідно до контексту тексту, який ми щойно прочитали. So we need to decide whether A to H sentences below are true or false. We have T for true and F for false. Let's take a look at the first sentence. Researchers looked at data on people up to the age of 40. Is it true? Is it false according to our text? What was the age of people mentioned in the text? Do you remember? We are talking about teenagers. Can we talk about people up to the age of 40? Definitely not. They were actually talking about the teenagers, so people who were living at the times of the 70s, 80s, and 90s of the previous century, and actually they had compared the 40 years of these people's living. So this one is false. Up to the age of 18, not 40. Number 2, researchers looked at data on 8 million teens. Is it true or false? How many teenagers did they investigate? Do you remember? Okay, right, yeah, it's definitely true. In the text, it was mentioned that there were 8 million teens investigated by the researchers. The next one, number 3. Researchers compared today's teens with teens from the 1970s. Is it true? Is it false? Do you remember what was mentioned in the text? Check yourself. This one is true. The 1970s teenagers were compared to today's teens. Also the teenagers from the 80s and the 90s. I do hope you remember that. Number 4. Today's 18-year-olds are similar to 15-year-olds in the past. So if we're saying that today's teenagers are growing up more slowly than the teenagers of previous generations, what was mentioned in the text about it? Is this information correct? Is it true according to the text? That today, when you are 18-year-old, you are similar to a 15-year-old teenager from the past. Yes, this actually is true. Number 5. The researchers said teenagers are no longer dating. What is dating? That's actually having a girlfriend or a boyfriend. So, is it correct to say that teenagers are no longer dating today? Do you remember that from the text? Okay, sure, it's false. They might just start it later. Number 6. A professor said today's teenagers have a slow life strategy. Okay, once again, we can use our logic and, of course, the things that we remember from the article, and we can assume that, yeah, it was true. The teenagers are leading a slow life strategy, so they are not in a rush to grow up. Отже, slow life strategy – стратегія повільного життя. Такі люди не спішать дорослішати. So, this is true according to the text. Okay, number 7. Spending time online makes teenagers more responsible. Is it true? The more time you spend online, the more responsible you become. Is it right? What do you remember from the text? In the text, it was mentioned that no, they do not become more responsible. The teenagers do not become more responsible if they spend too much time on social media and online in general. And the last sentence, protective parents make teenagers more responsible. when parents take too much care of their children. Is it correct that the child will become more responsible? I don't think so. And the article and the researcher, a professor, says that it's false. Okay, now that you have checked yourself, let's go to the next task. Here we have the words from the text. We need to match them with the synonyms to the right. So, let's take a look at the first column with the words from the text and the words to the right that are the synonyms. Number 1, previous. 2, data. 3, service. 4, engage. 5, far. 6, likely. 7, strategy. 8, apartment. 9, reason. 10, protect. And now the words to the right. A, probable. B, join in. C, a lot. D, cause. E, facts. F, plan. G, safeguard. H, earlier. I, flat. And J, studies. Now that we have looked through the words, let's match them. So, the first one is previous. In Ukrainian it is попередній. So which word do we match here? Right you are. It's H, earlier. Let's go to number 2. Data. Data is actually a synonym to the word information, but we do not have the word information in column to the right. So which word could be a synonym to both data and information? Right you are. That's the word facts. Number 3, surveys. Surveys are usually the questionnaire, so when the people are asked about something, their opinion, and then the facts, the data is collected. So what are the surveys? These are the studies, kind of a research, but when the people are questioned. Number 4, what does it mean to engage? It means to join in. Приєднуватись, долучатись. Number 5, far. We know this word is used in the phrase far away, like далекий. Far, far away in the galaxy, for example, but here it is a little bit different. So what might it mean here? It actually intensifies meaning. Тобто воно дає, це слово far, воно дає додаткового значення іншому слову. Воно його підсилює. Отже, для того, щоб підсилити інше слово, ми можемо використати слово far, і воно буде вживатися у значенні a lot. Number 6, likely. When something is likely to happen, it means that it's quite probable that it will happen. So, likely is a synonym to the word probable. The next one, strategy. Strategy is something that you follow step by step to achieve a goal. So, it's quite easy to understand that the synonym to this word would be a plan. The next one, number 8, apartment. Apartment is type of a place that you live in. So, kind of a building with rooms. It's not a private house, but it's a flat in a multi-storied building. Number 9, reason. The reason why you do something is. So, the synonym to the word reason would be cause, причина. And number 10, the last one, to protect, would be to safeguard. Okay, nice. Very good. Very well done. And now let's go to another exercise that we have here. Let's check what you remember from the text. These are going to be the facts mentioned in the text. So let's take a look at the first question. Do you remember how many years of data did researchers look at? Okay. Very well. That's 40 years. Number 2. How many different surveys did researchers look at? There were quite a lot of them, do you remember? And it was 8 million. 8 million people were researched. Number 3, who did researchers compare today's teenagers to? The teenagers from which generations? When did they live? When were these people teenagers? They were teenagers in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Number 4. What are today's 18-year-olds more like? We've just had a similar question in the previous exercise with true or false questions. Here, we need to say that today's 18-year-olds are more like 15-year-olds, teenagers, in the past. Number 5. What are today's teenagers taking fewer of? Fewer means less, so not much, not more, but less. That would be risks. Of course, they do not take risks much as they used to. Number 6. What kind of jobs are today's students less likely to do? So when we are talking about the teenagers of today, we remember that they might be less responsible, so they are not into jobs much, and they actually do not do part-time jobs. Number 7. What kind of strategy did a professor say today's students have? So do you remember? They do not rush to grow up. They are not that fast in it. So that would be called a slow life strategy. Okay, number 8. What do today's students not rent so much today? The places to live, right? And that word would be apartments or flats as a synonym. And number 9, the last one here. Where did the article suggest teenagers are not living? Oh, wow. Do you remember this piece of information? Okay, they are not living in the real world according to the research, according to the studies, as they are using too much social media and they are living online, not in the real world. Okay, and now it is time for the final part of our lesson. Take a look at the screen. Now you have a home assignment for the next lesson. The first task says that you have to unscramble the words and write them down into a copybook. Here you have the phrases. They are taken from the text. And the words that you need to unscramble are underlined. Отже, вам потрібно поставити букви у підкреслених словах у правильному порядку. So we have 7 phrases here. You can rewrite them to your copybooks. And then, as a home assignment, you have to unscramble, you have to fix these words. The second task that you've got is to write a newspaper article about the next stage in this news story. What may happen with the teenagers in the future? What do you think? Write a short article about the teenagers. What are your predictions? Okay, now I can hear the bell ringing, and that means that our lesson is over for today. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time.